Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the 2021 NR2003 NASCAR Cup Series season, where we start the 16 driver playoff series tonight at Darlington Raceway. 3 races in this first round, 16 drivers ready to go at it for a championship here tonight at Darlington. 220 laps in this race. Stage 1, 55 laps, stage 2, 60 laps, and then of course we'll race it to the end of stage 3 for the race victory at that point. I am joined in the booth by JayCook. Jay, ready for some exciting playoff racing here tonight at Darlington, something we've been waiting on all season long. We've been excited to get to this point, and we have a very surprisingly tight playoff grid, so I really feel like it's going to be, with NR 2003 especially, a very unpredictable playoffs all the way right through, in my opinion, to the final race at Phoenix Raceway.
Yeah, I think that we have an extremely competitive grid here, and we have an extremely close one as well. I knew it would be close coming into this race, but I had no idea how close it would be with so many people barely above that cut line or just barely below it. So I think this first round may be a little bit less competitive just because there was some winners who got in and less competitive cars, but I think beyond the round of 12 and beyond, I think it's going to be extremely close and extremely competitive from a lot of these drivers. And I can't think of a better track to start the playoffs at than Darlington. We had a great race at it earlier this season. Darlington always provides some excitement. There's always that factor of, the drivers have to be really careful around this track to not hit the wall. I can't think of a better way to start the playoffs. And I am extremely excited to get these playoffs started and see we wind up crowning as champion.
40 cars getting ready to grid up here now as the pace car is about to pull off. Now, Jay, we're talking about this tight playoff grid that we have. I mean, right now, last in the standings of the playoff drivers is Matt DiBenedetto. He's only 5 points out. And, I mean, we look at the guy third in the standings, Chase Elliott. He's only 21 points above the cut line. 4 drivers, I mean, that you could predict to get eliminated here with how hard it is in NR 2003. Is there any 4 that stick out right off the bat to you?
The two that immediately stick out is Ross Chastain and Cole Custer. I think that they're in cars that aren't performing the same as some of these other cars in this grid. So I expect those two to certainly be out in this round. And then there's also 4 other drivers that I'm watching that could be out. Bubba Wallace and Daniel Suarez, because of the equipment they're in, and also not having many points above the cut line. But also Martin Truex Jr. and Matt DiBenedetto. Truex Jr. and DiBenedetto come into this both outside the play or out below the cut line. Sorry, Truex out by 3, DiBenedetto out by 5. So they both have to have good and consistent races in all 3 races in this round. One bad race can really end their playoff chances, and honestly, it can end a lot of these drivers' playoff chances. So this grid is extremely close and extremely competitive, and I'm excited to see what happens.
And the playoffs are officially underway now as the green flag comes out. William Byron leads the field to the green flag. He comes in to this round of the playoffs only 2 points above the cut line. He won at Circuit of the Americas earlier this season. Had a very strong start to the season, Byron did, for that Hendrick Motorsports 2014. And then after his win in Circuit of the Americas, kind of fell off a little bit now as we see him lead the way over his teammate of Kyle Larson. What a season it has been for Larson. Surprisingly, only 3 wins for him. And actually, as I was going through tallying up the playoff points, seeing who won the stages in each of the 26 races earlier today, Jay, I was seeing a common trend that it was Larson and Hamlin winning a lot of the stages, and a lot of them, they actually were like first and second many of those times. So I think Larson, Hamlin definitely stick out as some potential favorites to me here in the playoffs for the round of 16.
And those are the 2 with the most wins on this season as well. So they are certainly coming into the playoffs in a pretty good position, even though 26 points for Hamlin is still not that far up above. One bad race for him, too, is something that will put him in a bad position as well. So I think Larson might be a little bit comfortable, but 36 points, that gap will only get smaller as these playoffs go on. So I guess he still has the potential to gain points as well. But the point is if he doesn't gain anymore, that gap can certainly shrink. And then for Hamlin as well, he's got to be careful with it as well. You can't solely rely on these playoff points. No one driver right now is comfortable just based on the playoff points they had coming into this. So everybody has got to have good races. Everybody's got to be on their toes. And this is the time where they have to have the 10 best races of their season. If they don't, they won't be crowned champion.
I did see Ross Chastain get his Darlington stripe already. He did clip the wall there at the end of the first lap. Oh, Logano. Logano's in the pit lane. Not sure what that's about now, as we already have some playoff implications. I didn't see any damage on the 22 car. So clearly that is potentially a mechanical issue now, as they have the left side. They just did right side tires, and he's going to be sitting there for a second. So clearly there is a mechanical issue going on with Joey Logano very early in this race. He only comes in 3 points above the cut line. Jay, a guy like Joey Logano, anybody for that matter, with how close this grid is, cannot afford a single bad race in the playoffs here today.
Yeah, Logano really cannot have that happen to him already. He's in NR where you can't really get those laps back. He's pretty much going to be done from the start of this thing. So, unfortunately for Logano, he's going to be in a huge hole unless some other drivers wind up breaking out of this race and DNFing. Just what I was mentioning right before the start, nobody can really afford to have a bad race, even the ones at the top of the grid that are 30-something, 20-something points ahead. So for Logano, he's going to be in an immediate hole after this race. He certainly is competitive enough to win races. So if he puts himself in victory lane at Richmond or Bristol after this, he'll be in. But points-wise, he's going to be in a very bad situation after this race.
Hey, I mean, honestly, now, I mean, it's already going to put Logano, he is 2 laps down. His back is going to be against the wall here if he wants to make it into the next round of the playoffs. Already a big hit to that Penske team. They won earlier this season at Phoenix Raceway. Their only win so far this season. That came in a photo finish, actually, over his Penske teammate of Ryan Blaney. So, I mean, we know Logano can win on the shorter tracks, and he's got 2 short tracks to do it coming up here. As you saw, Kurt Busch try to make a move on the second place driver of Kyle Larson, but couldn't quite pull it off. Now William Byron has run down the 22 of Logano, so they're going to be dealing with a lap car, and it looks like, Jay, that they might not have gotten that 22 completely fixed up, as it looks like he's going to be holding up the 5.
Yeah, he is extremely off the pace at the moment. I'm not sure if he's maybe being nice and letting the leaders by, which is something we've never seen before in NR, or if he's just extremely struggling. And certainly there's something wrong with that car, and they have not gotten it resolved. So there's something going wrong with that car. Maybe he's down a cylinder. Maybe he's not able to get into 4th gear. Something wrong, obviously wrong with Joey Logano, and things are going to keep getting worse for him. He has to hope at the moment that they're able to get that car remedied and he can stay on the track and maybe just hope for others to wreck. If he winds up having to DNF already, that will secure that he finishes last in this race and ultimately put him in a terrible position.
That's the thing, is that Logano is kind of forced into a position that even though that car is slow, they got to get as many laps in as they can, because they don't know how crazy this race could end up being. If we have a big crash on lap 50, Logano, I mean, is too far back to get involved in it. You could gain 10, 15 points out of that. So every point is going to matter. Now, it looks like the speed in that car is getting a little bit better. I can't tell. But Larson right now definitely is not a Joey Logano fan, as he continues to be stuck behind that number 22 up front. William Byron, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, your top 3. Jay, 3 drivers right off the bat here. Your top 3, all guys that I would not expect to be running top 3 in the first race of the playoffs. Now, they all had their little stretches of heat in the first part of the season, but ever since then, we haven't really talked about any of these 3 drivers.
Yeah, we certainly haven't really talked about William Byron or Kurt Busch that much. I think Kurt has actually been one of the more consistent drivers in the playoffs. Just doesn't have the playoff points to really show for it, but I think we can certainly consider him to be a competitive guy that can at least make the round of 8 and maybe sneak into the last round. Yeah, William Byron kind of just had his races that got himself into the playoffs. And at the moment is having obviously good races start at Darlington. We're only 11 laps in, so a lot can still happen. But at the moment, he's got a good car early. But you mentioned not really talking about Kevin Harvick and not really expecting him to be the guy. I think this is the one track I expect him to be really good at in these playoffs at Darlington. We've seen him win here before. They're on the track that he's usually very good at. So I kind of expected this out of Harvick tonight. And I know we've seen him struggle a lot since the beginning of the season when he got those first couple of wins, but this is playoff time. You can't have those struggles anymore. You can't really kind of rely on points anymore, and you can't just go out there and try different things. You have to be on top of your game. So I think that's what that team has done coming into this. They have thrown their best at this race. They've gotten their best setup possible. They've got the best strategy possible. And so they are ready to attack the playoffs here. And we see Harvick going immediately for second place. I think we could see him be very competitive tonight.
I mean, looking as well for maybe a little bit of redemption. Last time we came to Darlington earlier this year, Kevin Harvick was leading at the start of the final lap of this race, and Ryan Blaney actually passed him on the outside through turns 1 and 2, going on to win his first race of 2 so far this season. And the one thing that really sticks out to me from remembering that Darlington race was Ryan Blaney was dominant all day, but Jay, he had a train behind him the whole race, and it really felt like it's very hard to pass the leader. Harvick eventually did pass Blaney, but then Blaney was actually able to get back past him on that final lap. So I think track position today, or tonight, is also going to be a key factor in this race.
I think it certainly will be a factor, but it looks to me so far like it seems to be easier to pass than it was last time. Obviously, we haven't really seen much passing for the lead yet. We really haven't even seen anybody that close to Byron, aside from Kurt or Harvick, kind of sitting there with him, but not really able to, or not really looking like they can pass him. So I'm not going to be able to judge yet whether it's easier to pass or not, but it seems like compared to last time around, they might be able to pass a little bit easier. And maybe we'll see a little bit better racing this time around. I do remember that now where Blaney did kind of have a train behind him, and hopefully we don't really see that this time.
There you see Austin Dillon missed the playoffs right behind the 42 of Ross Chastain, who won his way into the playoffs after winning at Talladega Superspeedway. Just in front of him, Matt DiBenedetto there in that number 21 car, 19th place. He had a very up and down regular season. He was in the playoffs, he was out of the playoffs, and it just kept going back and forth, and right to the final lap in Daytona last week in the regular season finale, DiBenedetto was out or below the cut line, but with a poorly timed caution late in the race, it actually meant that a bunch of drivers had to pit with 2 laps to go. 1 lap to go. DiBenedetto was one of the guys that stayed out and was able to beat Chris Buescher for the final spot in the playoffs. Now, Jay, we don't know Matt DiBenedetto's future here in the NASCAR Cup Series. Obviously, in real life, he didn't make it into the playoffs. Here he is, at least in NR2003, going for a title. But, I mean, at this point, it doesn't sound like a very confident future for him in the Cup Series. Are you thinking maybe it's going to be an Xfinity ride for him next season at this point? Or if that, even, maybe he has to go for a truck ride?
I honestly don't really know what the future lies for him at all. I think that a lot of us are speculating Xfinity just because it seems like there's nothing there for him in the Cup Series, but I don't know what he's truly looking for. I don't know if he's okay with finding some lower funded ride, some lower tier ride again in the Cup Series, and he only wants to stay in the Cup Series, or if he's willing to go down to the Xfinity or Truck Series and get into some program there where he can win and really show what he's got, and maybe do the John Hunter Nemechek thing where he gets into the Truck Series and wins a whole lot, and then Toyota now wants to back him with a whole lot of money. So I'm not too sure what DiBenedetto wants to do. I think the best plan for him would probably be to go to one of the lower series. I think he'd be able to get into a competitive car there, and I don't think he'll be able to get one into the Cup Series. There's just none of them left, honestly. So I'm not too sure what the future holds for him, but hopefully we will eventually see him in the Cup Series in a competitive ride. I just don't know if at this point if it's going to happen, even if he does go back down to the Xfinity Series and wins races and stuff like that. He's just not. I don't want to call him old, but he's not certainly a 22-year-old that's a future budding star and has this huge promise and huge backing behind him at the moment.
How about that, though? Chase Elliott goes from 3rd to the lead out of turns 4, down the front straightaway into turns 1. We have a new leader here from Darlington and the Southern 500. Elliott out in front of the number 24 of William Byron. Byron definitely didn't fight him as hard as he could have there, being Hendrick Motorsports teammates, but a big move right there. And Jay, of course, was talking about some Xfinity stuff, maybe even for DiBenedetto. You never know. It brought in his age there is definitely going to be a key factor, but as well as if things go smoothly enough, we hope that we can also bring Xfinity Series and even Truck Series to our NR2003 season or series next year. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. All single file up front right now. A nice run for the number 14 of Chase Briscoe, the rookie there, having a good, strong performance early in stage 1. What we are going to do, though, we are 21 laps complete. We are going to go for a quick break here from Darlington and come back for the first round of potential green flag pit stops, taking us to the end of stage 1, which completes at the end of lap 50. We'll be right back from Darlington Raceway. Back from Darlington Southern 500 Racing playoff racing now. The playoffs just got underway today for the first race of 10. Looking at potential green flag pit stops coming here within the next few laps. Chase Elliott right now on an absolute tear here in Darlington. We're seeing a lot of speed, Jay, come out of that 9 car, but we're also now starting to see that 24 start to reel him in. So do you think that 9 maybe pushed a little bit too early there potentially?
I don't think he did at all. I think he waited to the right time and has now got himself a gap built up just before pit stops, which is exactly what the crew chief would want and what he would want as well. So nice job by Chase Elliott there. I think he waited till the right perfect time to make his move and was able to build that gap up just before pit stops, and is not my nope not pitting there, but yeah, is now going to be able to get into pit road here, hopefully from the lead if there's no caution, and get himself back on track, maybe even stretching that lead out depending on when he pits.
And there you see the number 38 of Alfredo. He actually blew the doors off the 9. He had to come in the pit lane you saw earlier. He is one lap down at the moment here. Now, as I would expect to see some potential pit road takers on this exact lap potentially. Here is Elliott going to be one of them? It does not look like it. And actually, not really seeing anybody come in this time. So maybe another lap or two now, as everybody is going to be staying out from the looks of it for at least one more lap, and they will not have to pit after this until the end of stage 1, so they can comfortably make it. Do keep in mind that this stage comes to a close at the end of lap 55, hitting lap 56. Now, Jay, I mean, you look at Darlington, a very track very known for wearing out tires. You think that maybe an undercut strategy is going to be a very important thing here today?
Extremely, extremely important and easily done as well. If somebody even pits a lap before, you can gain a couple of seconds. Like we saw Alfredo there, his tires by the time he got to Chase Elliott were probably 10 or so laps old, and he still blew Chase Elliott away. So pitting early here is a huge thing, and I'm surprised that we're not seeing somebody like DiBenedetto or really anybody around the bottom of the top 10 pit now and see what you can do. There's really no risk to it because you'll be able to make the end of the stage from here. So pitting early is the best option.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually we're not seeing people pit based off my testing. They were coming in lap 32 to 34 to 35, and right now we haven't seen anybody actually come into the pit lane. So maybe I got the field strategy completely inaccurate. We'll have to wait and see what happens now. As there you see Logano running in the back right now. The 51 of Cody Ware has a lot of damage, by the way. We didn't show it, but he just had some contact with 78 as well as a 00 of Quinn Half earlier in the race on, like, I think lap 2 or 3. Looking at the fastest laps, by the way, Ryan Blaney has posted the fastest lap, actually a tie with Chase Elliott. There's our first pit, or our first pitter of the 24 of William Byron. Interesting call there, as it looks like he's going to be the only one. So, I mean, Jay, if caution doesn't come out, if a caution does come out, I mean, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. But if it stays green, I could very well easily see him being out in front after this pit cycle.
That's a huge call for that 24, and I like the call as well. That might, even if it is just one lap here, if Chase Elliott pits right here, that might still be enough to get Byron out to the lead. So that is an extremely smart call. Yep, Chase Elliott's going to pit now, and I expect to see a lot of others come with him. Maybe not.
Oh, there we go.
There is a line coming back here, but a very smart call from that 24. He's going to be the only one pitting on that lap as well, so he's going to have advantage over these other guys who are staying out even longer as well.
And as well, didn't have to deal with traffic, which could be, of course, an implication when you're trying to do green flag pit stops, as we're going to see, of course, where that 24 of Byron ends up cycling out. I would expect to see the rest of the field come in here, so definitely a longer field run than I originally anticipated now, as we're seeing lap 35, 36, 37 area instead. Now, as everybody that did not come in is now coming in. So, oh, we got it. Oh, it's William Byron crashing down the back straightaway into turns 3. Is the caution out? I'm not 100% sure. That was off the racing track. So, oh, no, caution is out. Oh, my goodness. I don't think the 24 is going to be taking the lead anymore.
I believe that might help Joey Logano as well. That might have given him a lap or two back. I'm not too sure if he was able to get around the leader more than once, but he might be 2 laps down now, and that also might have helped Suarez. I don't think Daniel Suarez pitted, so he might be in the lead at the moment.
It's currently showing Suarez a lap down. We'll have to wait and see what happens here, because things have to still cycle through, but we didn't see exactly what led up to that. Of course, we'll get a look at it, but if I had to guess, it reminded me of when Kyle Larson, Jay, came back on track in the first race here after being in a position to win, potentially. He came up on the track as I think it was Austin Dillon who was trying to pit, and they came together, if you remember, and then they both crashed, and I think potentially that might be what we just saw right there.
That looks like the exact same thing. That is probably indeed what happened. And unfortunately for Byron, a great call, much like the same for Kyle Larson. uh, is going to wind up being ruined by, I'm assuming, someone pitting. The way that looked as well, it looked like the same type of crash too. So I'm guessing they did come together when one was coming off pit road and one was going on.
Logano did gain 1 lap, by the way. He is now 2 laps down instead of 3. The 24, Byron, I mean, it's not going to be race-ending damage, I don't believe, to that number 24 car, as you can see him right there. I mean, it's got some right-side damage. Honestly, I think they can get that pretty well fixed up and get him back in the mix. But a big hit nonetheless for him in stage 1. He's, instead of potentially being the leader, well, he's probably not going to be able to get stage points, and we know how important stage points are going to be at this point. Now, as we're also going to see here, maybe if these guys risk coming back into the pit lane or not now. I would doubt that's going to happen. We'll just take a quick look and see. I mean, we see Chase Elliott going all the way down there, but I don't think... Is he?
He is pitting. That's the line they're taking if they're pitting. There's going to be several of them
Yes.
pitting here. And I think it's a smart idea. Even though they might have only ran 1 or 2 laps on their tires, 1 or 2 laps can be a huge deal here at Darlington. So I think this is actually a smart call for Chase Elliott.
We saw Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Keselowski as well. DeBettadetto's going to be one of the guys staying out. Interesting to see how that will work. So they're going to be going to the back, but those tires make a huge difference, and it's going to be 25 to go probably when they take the green. 24 laps to go in stage 1. So now let's get a look, though, at what happened to the number 24 of William Byron, who crashes early here in stage 1. Here's a look at William Byron, and Jay, just as we thought, it was Byron coming up and Timmy Hill trying to pit, and that causes this accident right here.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Byron, it kind of ruined his strategy a bit, and it's going to give him some damage as well. I think he should be able to get that fixed and still be competitive. But even if he does, he's going to be mired back with track position, and I think he might be stuck a lap down as well. I'm not too sure about that. But either way, unfortunate for Byron, his strategy got ruined there, and it puts him in a bad position in a time where he does not need to lose any points.
As that was happening, or the replays were happening right there, the 1 car, the 18, as well as some others, Denny Hamlin, Chris Buescher, the 14, the 48, a lot of guys that basically didn't pit last time around decided they're going to come around now, and almost like, Jay, they're trying to play a game of get the freshest tires possible.
Yeah, either that or maybe they have some strategy in mind where they pit now and they can make it a little bit further than they wanted to for that second stage. I'm not too sure what it's at play there, but certainly an interesting call that's gonna, I don't know if it loses any of these drivers track position, but it's yeah, it's certainly interesting. These guys are playing some kind of game that I've yet to figure out.
You know who it does help right now is actually the 23 of Bubba Wallace. He was the 3rd worst running playoff driver before the pit cycle, and with everything that has happened here in the last 5 minutes or so, now he's going to be in 3rd place, as we are going to be going lights out on the pace car, green this time by Joey Logano in the very back there in last place, 2 laps down. Ryan Newman at the back, and so basically all of these guys here now have a lap fresher tires under pace car conditions. Jay, do you see that really? I personally don't see it under the pace car making a whole lot of a difference for those guys that decided to come in a lap later than everybody that came the lap before when the caution originally came out.
No, I don't think it has any effect at all on their tires. I think that might have been a fuel thing, strictly them trying to maybe squeeze as much fuel to that car as they can and get as many laps out of it as they can. Again, I think that they're playing some strategy for stage 2. I just can't see exactly what it is right now because they're still probably going to pit again at the end of this stage. So something's being played here. I'm just not too sure of what exactly it is.
And now getting ready to go back green. So it's going to be Chase Elliott back out front after all of that chaos. Not exactly, I don't think, what we were anticipating here now, as it's going to be Keselowski 2nd, Bubba Wallace 3rd, Kyle Larson, Cole Custer as well benefiting from that. Another playoff driver as a green flag will be back out, and it's going to be 13 laps to go in stage 1. So at this point, you're just all out here trying to win this first and opening stage or get as many points as you can. Bubba Wallace right there already almost looks like he just doesn't quite have the pace in that number 23 car here tonight. Larson 4th, Custer fifth, and then you got Corey LaJoy up here in seventh. So we got a few, of course, underdogs up here in the mix. And then you got the 34 McDowell, Chastain up here in the top 15. Suarez as well trying to rebound, and there's Byron right there in that number 24. We're gonna see how much pace is in that number 24 car throughout the rest of the night. Now, Jay, that kind of hurt Matt DiBenedetto though with that strategy. He is all the way back here, not even inside the top 25. I mean, what's it gonna take for a guy like DiBenedetto now at this point to try and get some of that crucial track position?
Well, what he was originally doing, he had originally stayed out there and found himself inside the top 10. And I think that was a good strategy call for them to do. And then they wound up pitting anyways and actually putting themselves in a worse position from where they were around 18th or so. So not a great strategy call. It went from being a very good one, I think, to a pretty bad one, to where he's really suffering now in track position at a track where track position is everything, and also at a time where points are everything, and there was stage points on the line. He could have potentially gotten stage points had he not pitted, and now he's going to have to claw his way up towards the top 10 and maybe get him for stage 2. But at a time where he's 5 points out already, and with this grid being as close as it is, him not gaining any points here is going to be a huge blow to that team.
Kevin Harvick far way back along with Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin. And I mean, if you are a playoff driver that's deep in the field right now, the one advantage that you do have is there is a lot of playoff drivers in the same area as you in the back there. The 51 and Cody Ware actually into the outside wall. Blaney gets through, Almirola gets through. Harvick's still stuck there as he's trying to make his way through on the inside line. So some Darlington stripes starting to kick in here throughout the night now, as you see Chastain just in front of the 34 of Michael McDowell. Now, Jay, we've been seeing Chip Ganassi Racing heat up over the summer break, or the summer months. I mean, do you think, even though he lucked his way into the playoffs with a win at Talladega, do you think maybe he has something here to potentially advance himself to the next few rounds?
If drivers keep struggling kind of like they are tonight, then he may just have a chance based on other drivers having issues. And if he's able to keep it clean, then he may just advance on that. But if everything goes to how it should and there's no issues, I don't think there's a way that 42 advances. I certainly expect Kurt Busch to advance. He's been consistent all season long and one of the more competitive guys in the series. But Chastain, he certainly got that win at Talladega and lucked into that. And he hasn't had the greatest performances all season at all. So as long as there is no issues to any driver, then I obviously would expect him to be eliminated. But as you know already, 49 laps into this thing, there's going to be issues for anybody at any time. So it's possible that he gets in based on other drivers just having issues, and if he's able to keep it clean, then he gets into the next round.
And speaking of issues, the 23 of Bubba Wallace is a lap down now after coming to the pit lane there under green flag conditions. Something wrong with that car as well, like the 22 of Joey Logano. So another playoff implication here in Darlington as we come to 6 laps to go in the first stage. Car reliability is taking a bit of an unexpected key role into tonight's race there. You can see that 22 is still off the pace of 23. Definitely has pace in the car. Not sure exactly why they brought it back down the pit lane there under green flag conditions, but it's going to be nearly impossible for Bubba to make that lap back there. The 17 of Chris Buescher there briefly in the outside wall here as we look back up towards the front though. Chase Elliott still leading the way in. It seems like, Jay, after probably 9, 10 to 11 laps or so, that 9 car, he can't really do much. He's able to hold the lead, but then he starts to pull away. And I mean, we saw that middle to long run pace he had in the car earlier. There's some serious late run speed in this 9 car, and I am not seeing anyone right now that is anywhere near matching what he is putting on the board.
And the group that he had behind him earlier are all stuck now outside the top 10. Way back deep in the field as well, so he's probably going to pull further away from these guys here behind him. As Cole Custer, though, looks like he is a bit competitive at the moment. I don't know if he was with this group the whole time, but he made a run for third place a second ago, even kind of second place as well. So it looks like he may have a fast car at the moment, but I don't know if it's going to be fast enough to catch Chase Elliott. It looks like once they get kind of into the longer run, he is when he's able to take off, like you mentioned. And he can also take advantage of Kyle Busch and some of these others being stuck back here. It looks like Suarez might be forming up some kind of train. I don't know if he's suddenly starting to have issues or if he's just genuinely slow and these guys can't get around him.
And now at the end of the day, it is NR 2003. So Chase Elliott, he can dominate all he wants. but all it takes is a lap car to get in your way or just some crazy NR 2003 moment to end your hopes of winning. And there is the 22 of Joey Logano, who's going to be in the way of Chase Elliott. We got a playoff point on the line. We're coming to 2 laps to go in stage 1. Where's Elliott going to go? He's going to go to the inside. Is it going to be enough to get him to the inside, though, of the 22? Larson is going to catch him off guard a little bit. Kyle Larson to the inside. And now there's nothing Chase Elliott can do right there. And Jay, he's going to be kicking himself over that. Clearly nowhere near aggressive enough from Chase Elliott, and he just gave up a potential playoff point.
Larson just got a bit of karma back from Joey Logano at the beginning of this race. Logano was the one who held Larson up and put Larson outside the top 10 and really put him way back. And this time around, he holds up Chase Elliott and gives Kyle Larson the lead and potentially the stage wins. So Larson, of course, I'm sure was infuriated the first time around. The second time around, he's much happier, and this puts him back out front. Now, I don't know if he's going to have a better car than Chase Elliott. We haven't really seen them be able to race each other yet, but I think Chase Elliott, given the time, we'll get back to Kyle Larson in the second stage, and we'll see those two duke it out for the lead.
So here comes your regular season champion of Kyle Larson, not only in real life but in NR 2003 as well, leading the way through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. A late pass on Elliott with help from Joey Logano being in the way. Kyle Larson will come through to win the first stage of the playoffs, and he picks up right where he left off here with that playoff grid, coming in as the number 1 seed, over 30 points above the cut line. Kyle Larson is 36 to be exact coming into this race, but a couple surprises here. Cole Custer, I mean, of course, lucked his way in with a win in Miami. Came in actually tied for the last spot, 0 below the cut line. Here he is with a second place finish. So Chastain with the top 10 as well. So some of the playoff underdogs coming in clutch right here, getting some key points as they come into the pit lane here at the end of stage 1. So Jay, we know now for a fact lap traffic is going to be a key role as well tonight, especially with Logano. Of course, he's not going to give up because he needs to stay in this race and get as many positions as possible. But now we know that he, at least him and potentially other cars tonight, is going to play a huge role in deciding this outcome here tonight.
Yeah, they may be able to get it fixed a little bit on pit road each time they pit as well. We've seen that happen before, but he will not be able to get back to full speed, I don't think. So we're going to have to see some kind of incident take Logano out of this race, and that's going to be the only thing that will keep him from affecting this race. And it's unfortunate that we have a guy affecting the race essentially 5 laps into it is when he started the first time around when he got Kyle Larson, and this time towards the end of the stage, he gets Chase Elliott. So maybe some timely cautions can keep him from affecting this race too much. But if it stays green, we will certainly see him affect this race. I think every 30 or so laps. He does have decent pace in it, just not good enough. So they won't catch him every 10 laps like we saw at Daytona, but they will still catch him several times.
Well, Custer wins race off of the pit lane. He'll be leading us back to the green at the start of stage 2. We're going to go for a quick break here as stage 1 has come to a close. Kyle Larson wins the first stage of the playoffs here from Darlington Raceway. We'll be right back for the start of stage 2. Back from Darlington for the start of stage 2. 60 laps this time around, and stage 2 will come to a close as soon as we finish the 115th lap here from Darlington Raceway. So a little bit more racing, an extra 5 laps, kind of makes up for the caution racing or caution laps we just had right there as stage 2 gets underway. Cole Custer surprising all of us here, I think, tonight, right now out in front. We'll have to wait and see if he truly has the pace, though, to win this race. Kyle Larson there in the second position. We know he's got the pace every single week. Custer hasn't shown up, of course, since he won at Homestead, Miami, and that was just because so many cars crashed that he found himself in a spot to actually make a last lap pass to win the race. I think it was actually over his teammate of Eric Almirola, if I remember correctly. Now, as you see, Tyler Reddick putting some pressure to the inside of Kyle Larson. Jay Reddick missed the playoffs, unlike real life, but missed it in NR 2003. But here we are in Darlington. He's clearly showing he's got the pace to fight with these playoff drivers tonight. And when it comes to a track like Darlington, we always got to consider a guy like Reddick, as it is truly a driver's racetrack. As Suarez, by the way, in the background in the outside wall.
Yeah, he was another driver who just kind of had a bad second half, and it really put him outside the playoffs. He had a very comfortable margin, much like Chris Buescher. I believe he was over 100 points at one time and just wound up missing out due to a bunch of bad performances. But we see here Denny Hamlin, a guy that you and I have both talked about as a guy to watch for this championship. He's got some heavy right side damage to that car. Not too sure how much that's going to affect him. And same thing for Suarez, actually damage to the left side as well. So both of those drivers in a bad position already to start stage two. And even though Denny Hamlin has those playoff points, it's not that many. So he has to be careful about having bad races as well.
And at the same time, that of course helps him building up those playoff points throughout the regular season. Now, Chase Elliott trying to make a pass on Keselowski, and Custer is holding his own right now up front over the number 5 of Kyle Larson here. So Custer doing a superb job right now here, as you can see. Elliott right there on the inside, clear right now of the 20 of Christopher Bell. And Bell right now not running a throwback paint scheme here tonight, we have a bit of a frame rate drop. Now we don't like to see that here, as that seems to come and go every week, and now we're just going to try and push through it at this point now, as it should kind of subside here within the next 30 to 45 seconds. If it doesn't, we'll take a quick break, of course, now, as Kyle Larson still runs second place. Larson had an unbelievable regular season. Not only did he win 3 races, surprisingly, not the most wins in the regular season, as Denny Hamlin had 4 of them, but Kyle Larson has been unbelievably strong, not only winning 3 races, but he picked up a bunch of stage wins as well. Kyle Larson, like I said, on a whole different level here now, as the frames continue to not be very friendly here. We might have to go to a quick break if they do not get better, but we'll try and hang on for another minute or so. But Jay Larson just on a whole different level compared to just about everybody this year.
Yeah, he certainly is I think both of our championship favorite at this point, and I think we can expect him to go on a tear here in the playoffs a bit as well. He doesn't want to lose any of that momentum. He wants to show that he is the championship favorite, and show these guys, that they should all be scared of him and really respect his drivability. So I think he's going to go for this lead here pretty hard on Cole Custer. He wants to get as many points as he can, because again, he's also not secure as well. One bad race for him can certainly hurt him a lot too. So he's going to go for the lead here and try and get every point that he can, and also just trying to run away from Chase Elliott, who's not too far behind him. I think so far, Chase Elliott looks like he's had the best car, and Larson we've yet to see what kind of car he has.
A lot of single file in the back here. Suarez up by the wall again, but right now we're seeing some playoff guys that are trapped here. And the 23, he's a lap down, do keep in mind, of Bubba Wallace. But you got the 4 of Harvick, who just really can't go anywhere. The 24 of Byron's still stuck where he's at. The number 21 of Ryan Blaney or 12, sorry, of Ryan Blaney trying to pass the 99 of Suarez. And then you got the 19, the 11. So there's a lot of playoff guys struggling so far here tonight, which is kind of surprising, Jay. But at the same time, track position is so important that it's going to be very hard for these guys to rebound. But at the same time, they still have a lot of racing, a lot of time, a lot of potential strategy that can get them back in the mix tonight.
Yeah, I think the reason why a lot of them are struggling are just based on that strategy that happened there at the end of stage 1, and just put a lot of them in bad track position. And obviously, at a track where it's kind of hard to pass, you're not going to be able to gain that up that easy. So I think that we'll see them regain a lot of that track position towards the end of this race, as long as there's no other wacky cautions or anything like that. But we'll see them get that track position back. Ultimately, their speed and their cars will overgain some of these drivers that are in front of them. But certainly for now in the short run, and with things just getting restarted again, we'll see them struggle for a bit.
Now that this run is carrying on, we're seeing the 5 of Larson start to really pressure that 41 of Cole Custer, but getting to his back bumper is one thing, passing him a whole different challenge here, and we're going to see if he has the car to do that now, as Keselowski couldn't quite complete the pass on the number 8 of Tyler Reddick. We got quite a few non-playoff drivers up here in the mix, of course, with the 8, the 20, the 7, the 43 of Eric Jones having a tremendous run right now. Of course, got up there because of strategy as well. Chastain's still running pretty decent. He's actually right now in the 9th position here. Priest just rounding out the top 10, as you got Kyle Busch right behind that 52. Bowman having a decent run tonight. Jay, I mean, it was a bit surprising to see him miss the playoffs, of course, but all season long, that team just surprisingly hasn't had the pace to do anything.
A bit surprising based on who Bowman is in real life and what team he drives for in real life. That almost got really sketchy there for the 21 and the 1. But for his performance this season on NR, I don't think it's surprising to either one of us or really anybody watching. It's been a big struggle for that team this season, and he's had races where he's looked very good at the beginning of the race and can lead laps in the beginning of them, but then by the end of stage 1 or stage 2, he just kind of falls back down to where he normally runs, which is outside the top 15, outside the top 20 sometimes. He's just had a huge struggle this season, and has also been caught up in some wrecks that have been no fault of his own as well. So, when you're having a season where you struggle and you also get caught up in wrecks, those are certainly not going to help you at all. And you really can't have anything go wrong with the way the system is. And if you have it for one or two races, at least in a regular season, it's not so bad. But when it's for a multiply or multiple of races, 10 plus for Bowman, it's that's why he missed the playoffs.
Larson got passed by Reddick there while we were looking down the order. Now he's under attack from Brad Keselowski. As soon as you lose that outside, you really come under attack very quick. Now Joey Logano is about to be run down here, so definitely got to wait to see how that is going to play a role in what happens right here. Larson, though, immediately gets back to the 8 of Reddick. So we know that 41 has a lot of speed today, but he's definitely just trying to kind of play the same tactic that Ryan Blaney pulled earlier this season at the same track, just kind of stay in front. I mean, I don't think he has the fastest car, but if he can just stay in front and kind of train the field, he's going to be in really good shape now as they all get through pretty nicely there as Chase Elliott kind of gets caught up. Again, we know that 9 car has a lot of long run speed, so I would expect to see him working his way forwards here pretty quick now as, the 8 of Reddick clipped the outside wall there on the exit of turn 4. That opens the door wide open for Kyle Larson, and into turns 1, you're probably going to see the 8 lose a spot. Yes, he does, and down to 3rd place goes Tyler Reddick now, and Keselowski tries to sneak up the inside, can't quite pull it off right there. Now, as we are well underway here in stage 2, what we're going to do is pit stops once again are not far away. We're going to go for another quick break here in the midway-ish point of stage 2, and we'll be right back for some green flag pit stops. Back from Darlington. While we were away, we had a crash happen. No caution came out. You see the 16 of Gralla into the wall, gets hooked by the 17, hard impact into the inside wall, and then he goes straight, keeps it going. No caution comes out here in Darlington to our surprise as he would bring it into the pit lane. Now you see Kyle Larson out in front, got past the 41 of Cole Custer during the commercial break and replay of that incident with the 16 of Kaz Gralla, and now Custer under attack from the 8 of Tyler Reddick. Pit stops should be underway here very, very shortly now within the coming laps. Matt DiBenedetto, while we were on break, he's been on an absolute tear. He is now past the 18 of Kyle Busch up into 12th place, but it's going to be tough for him to make the inside work. But Jay, I think of the playoff drivers, that's the one we're seeing that has clearly gotten some adjustments in that car, and it's definitely making a difference for them.
Of any car in this field, honestly, I think he's one of the only ones who have made up positions like that and made up time like that. He's come from way far behind and now be virtually with this lead group. And so now he's got himself in a position where he has time, and if he pits early, maybe he can get himself inside the top 10 due to strategy as well. So there's a lot of things still that can happen for that 21 to get him stage points, crucial stage points that he would need as well. I thought that with the way that he started stage 2, he might have he and his team might have screwed themselves out of stage points entirely for this race. But it seems like right now they're certainly going to have a pretty good chance at it, and they really need to go with a good strategy. I think of pitting early. A lot of these drivers need to consider pitting early because of how much time you can gain. You just have to be careful coming off pit road to not have the same thing that we've seen happen twice already this season. Once with Larson in the first race, and now with William Byron in the second race.
26 laps to go in stage 2, coming to 25 to go. Pit stops, like I said, are going to be happening very, very shortly here, we anticipate now, as you see Kaz Gralla up in front. Corey LaJoie having a good run here tonight in Darlington. Of course, strategy and the timing of the caution got him into this spot right here, and he is certainly making the most out of it right now. Custer still runs second place. You're seeing Keselowski, Elliott have good runs here tonight. Elliott, I think, still has a really fast car, but I wouldn't count out the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto yet, because I mean, as slower as he looked, I mean, even in stage 1, of course, the strategy, it wasn't good for them, but he definitely didn't have the speed either to be running good. But now, Jay, we're seeing what we're not really seeing from many people tonight is he's going through on the inside, just sailing it off in there and completing the pass. And for the majority of these drivers, you have to be on the top to complete the passes. He's doing it on the bottom of the track.
I don't even think we've seen Chase Elliott make a pass like this, and I know we've seen Larson do it, but I don't think we've seen Chase Elliott do it yet either. So I think he's got an extremely good car at the moment. He certainly doesn't have a tire advantage because everybody pitted at the same time, so obviously he got some kind of adjustments in there and is absolutely flying at the moment. We haven't been able to see many people make any passes at all. So certainly a very good run for Matt DiBenedetto and that 21 team when they need every point. You know, this stuff counts here. This is huge for them. And so whatever adjustments they did, they got to keep up with it and make sure they keep with the track. And on the flip side of that, as you're looking through the field here, there's a lot of playoff drivers who are struggling outside of Logano, who has some kind of engine issue with this car. We got Suarez. There was Bubba Wallace back there. There was Martin Truex Jr. still back there. And I think these two, Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, are pretty far back as well, and Ryan Blaney just in front of them. So, we have some drivers having good runs tonight, and then on the flip side of that, we have a lot of playoff drivers having very, very rough runs tonight.
And we got pit stops happening, but as you're talking about that, I was counting. I think I counted 8, half the playoff grid, 20th place or worse right now in Darlington, which is very, very surprising. You don't expect that out of the playoff drivers here tonight. So we're going to have to see if some of these guys, of course, some of them got stuck back there with strategy, but nonetheless, they've had this whole stage to try and work their way forwards as we're continuing to see with this 21 of De Benedetto. He has now passed the 37 of Ryan Preece and will be pitting, I believe this time by it looks like, yes, he's going to be coming in. The 43 of Eric Jones is going to try and stretch it out. We saw William Byron crash on the last set of pit stops, so you got to watch out. And Chase Elliott is electing to stay out. Now, some guys that are in the playoffs got to as well spend some time, like Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez. They're going to have to fix some damage here. So a lot of stuff going on under this set of pit stops. And I'd be a little bit concerned about Chase Elliott, Jay, because he might be coming in as someone's coming out, and it could result in a crash, but it looks like he's going to be okay if he pits right here. But that's something we got to really watch out for here on this set of pit stops.
There's two things to either be concerned about or to have questions about with Chase Elliott staying out there. One, he could have stayed out because of what happened last time. Maybe he was thinking he would catch a caution before they pitted, which I think they're pitting now. So obviously that's not going to happen. But yeah, also that second thing, he could have gone from maybe making it out of pit road clear to now all of a sudden he's not going to be clear. So there is some things that could happen here. You don't know, and he's got to be extremely careful coming off pit road. He's got to have that information fed to him by his spotter. He's got to know if there's a car coming up on him, and if there is, he needs to find some way to make it to where they don't have contact.
Now, do you think this could be the right call for him? Because he is going to have 19, 20 laps to, of course, he's given up some track position for sure, but like I said, he's going to have 19, 20 laps to have that lap or 2, 3 even fresher tires to maybe make a difference here in this final 20.
I don't think it's going to pan out for him, honestly. I think that if he's able to get off pit road cleanly, then maybe they were worried about not doing so that's maybe why they stayed out a lap. But as far as track position goes, I don't think it was a smart move, as you see the leaders already going by him, and he's probably going to be 6th or 7th, maybe not that far down. Actually, I thought they were closer than they actually were. But he is certainly going to have lost track position, lost time to the leader, which I don't think was the smartest move. Close there, very close, but luckily able to keep it green. But yeah, I don't think those tires are going to make that much of a difference at the end of the run.
De Benedetto lost a little bit of track position as well. As you can see, he passed the 37 before he pitted, and now you see the 37's all the way up here. So just a couple lap difference makes a difference. And speaking of the difference, Cole Custer has gotten past the 5 of Kyle Larson. Custer, I mean, doing a tremendous job in this 41 car here tonight. Surprising, I think both of us, Jay, now, as he was definitely one of the guys that we mainly looked at as like a for sure out of the playoffs. And now Larson seems to be under attack from the 2 of Keselowski. Maybe they just made a mistake here with the adjustments, or it's just going to take a few laps for that car to really kick in.
Yeah, it's certainly Cole Custer. I thought when he got the lead at the start of the stage, I thought it was due to strategy. We'd see him fall back. He wouldn't stay up here and be competitive for the lead, and he has. He stayed up here the entire time. He's led a good bit of laps. Obviously, Larson got the lead there for a while, but he's able to take it right back on these pit stops. And at the moment, pull away from Larson is just having to deal with Brad Keselowski, and they're staying too wide and being slower than Cole Custer is. So a very good job so far for that 41 team, and we may already, by the end of this race, have a guy that you and I thought were going to be out. We may have him locked in by the end of this race.
Daniel Suarez fighting to stay on the lead of the lap here. You see him going down right now into turns 3, and then you got the 41 who's not far behind, and this could be big for Daniel Suarez now, as they spent a little bit of extra time on the pit lane there fixing their damage, and so did Denny Hamlin. Keselowski completes the pass on Kyle Larson, so he is free to go run down that 41, but can he actually do anything? This is going to be his opportunity right here, as this 22 of Joey Logano looks like it's going to be easy for Cole Custer as he comes through turns 1. He does have a bit of a checkup right there, but gets past the 22, and the 2 and the 5 are going to be planted right behind Joey Logano. So So now here's an opportunity for Kyle Larson to maybe get back past the two, but they're just going to kind of sit in line right behind him and do absolutely nothing about it now. Unfortunately, like we said, Logano has to stay out as long as he can to try and gain as many points as possible, but you can see the impact it is having. But they finally do get past the 22 of Joey Logano. Kyle Larson in the third position as they come through turns one. Now 15 laps to go in stage two. And now, I mean, you see a big lead for Cole Custer, but we look back throughout the rest of the order again. Chastain J still inside the top 10, but who are we seeing again on the charge? That 21 of Matt DiBenedetto. But do you think, I mean, that 42 has what it takes here to hold off that 21? He's, I think, another guy that's we were thinking for sure out of the playoffs, but here he is right now in stage one. He got points in stage two. It looks like at the moment he's going to get points again.
Well, if DiBenedetto's car is the same as it was before they made those pit stops, I don't think there's anyone in this field, honestly, who can hold him off. It's just all about track position at the moment for that 21 car. But the 42, he certainly does look stronger than we thought. But I think for him, it's a bit of strategy that happened at the end of the stage one. And also, I think he might have pitted a lap or two early, and that's why he's also in the position where he is. But at a track where it's kind of where we've seen it be hard to pass, and track position is everything. We see some guys who've struggled and had the entire stage two to gain positions, like Martin Truex Jr., like Denny Hamlin, who are still in the back now, all the way almost through this entire second stage. So it's definitely going to be a thing of track position, even if you have a good car. You know, if you lose a track position, you are hurt. Is Harvick here's on pit road?
Another guy. We have seen a surprising amount of playoff drivers having issues, and Kevin Harvick comes in, and I mean, of course, they're going to put tires on that car, but is it a mechanical issue? Oh, Reddick's in the outside wall here through turns one out of turn two. Is that going to cause any incidents? No, it does not. They keep it clean, thank goodness. But a moment there for him, and now they have finally, for the first time, run down the 16 of Kaz Grala. Quick look at Kevin Harvick. He is already coming out of the pit lane, so not sure exactly what's going on with the situation right there. 3 wide for a quick moment as well. Kyle Larson trying to make something happen, as look at this pack of cars now we have coming up into the mix. The 37 of Priest going to go by on the inside as Harvick exits the pit lane, and he is now going to be 1 lap down. So we have 1, 2, 3 playoff drivers that are a lap down. Then, and of course, we got Suarez and Hamlin, who are currently the last 2 drivers on the lead lap. Jay, honestly, I'm a bit surprised to see all these playoff drivers having so many issues here tonight.
I was just going to mention, as you're looking there is 8 drivers that are 30th and below. 5 of them are playoff drivers. Certainly Joey Logano is going to be mired down there in that 37th position for the entirety of this race, unless there are some DNFs. And now it looks like Harvick's going to probably be stuck a lap down for the rest of this race, and maybe even Bubba Wallace. So those 3 right there are going to be in a tough position after this race is over with. There's still a lot of time for Denny Hamlin and Daniel Suarez to get this caution here at the end of the stage, get themselves adjustments made, and get themselves back in a competitive position. But it is slowly slipping away for those drivers, and really, you know, like you mentioned, very surprising to see them struggling this much. I did not expect this. Even if they lost position with the strategy there, I still thought they'd be able to gain their way back towards the top 10. It just has not happened. I'm not too sure what to think about it. I don't know if a lot of these drivers are having issues with their cars that we aren't noticing. If they got some kind of, we obviously, you know, we know that the 23 and the 11 had damage at some point. But I don't know why they're staying back there. I don't think it's all due to how hard it is to pass here. We've seen drivers be able to make their way up through the field, like the 21. So obviously there's something there, and a lot of these drivers are struggling. The good thing for those drivers that are struggling, it's not like it's only them. About half the playoff grid is struggling with them. So I think we're going to leave this race with an incredibly close grid towards the bottom of it.
Yeah, that's the one positive. Is if you're a playoff guy struggling like Martin Truex Jr. right now, who's only in 18th place, well, you got over half the grid still behind you. So that's the one advantage that he does have, is honestly he might gain points still when he's only running 18th place here tonight in Darlington now. So very, very interesting. I mean, I knew we were going to see some type of playoff implications here and there, but I didn't think we are going to see it to this degree, and we're not even done the second stage yet. We still got coming to 6 laps to go here in stage 2, and we're seeing a whole train form. Jade, now this truly looks like what we saw in the spring with Ryan Blaney leading this race. So do you think that 41 really does have the speed capable of winning, or is it just the fact that he's got that front spot in the clean air holding him up front, in front of the 2, the 5, the 37, and the 20, and everybody else in this train?
I certainly think it is that he's holding them up. We saw in the first stage that everybody was able to get separated. We had the leader kind of running away a bit. We were able to see some passes being made still. But this time around, it looks like Cole Custer just has, just that little bit of advantage to keep himself out front. I don't know if it's maybe he has that tiny bit better of a car, or if it's clean air. I think it's most likely clean air though. And if we see him lose that position on pit road, is when we may see this field get separated back out again, and we may see some passing get done. But at the moment, everybody's just kind of held up in a big train, and that inside line is at such a huge disadvantage that all you have to do is really hold that outside line, and you'll keep your position, which is kind of what's happening up towards the front. Obviously, for Matt DiBenedetto, that hasn't mattered. He's been able to make passes anywhere. So when we restart here for stage 3, if they're able to keep up with the adjustments, we could see him being the guy to make these passes here.
And now Kyle Larson under attack from the 37 of Ryan Preece. He's doing a good job. It's hilarious now. The non-throwback cars are really spoiling the party here tonight. We got Custer, the 20, the 1, and the 37, as well as the 8, and they're all running pretty good. Now, as you see, Suarez still trying to hold on to that lead lap. Looks like he's pretty much safe now. As you can see, Custer is just coming out of turns 4. It'll be 3 laps to go in stage 2 here as Custer. This would just be a huge stage for him if he can hold on to that front spot over Brad Keselowski, as well as that number 5 of Kyle Larson, and especially with everybody struggling so far here today. I mean, he could be very far above that cut line at the end of tonight in the Southern 500. It'll be 2 laps to go this time around now as they come through turns 3 as well as turns 4. I mean, a bit of a letdown it's been this year, Jay, for Stuart Haas Racing as a whole in real life and in NR2003, but no better way it would be, of course, for them to start off the playoffs with a victory.
Yeah, it certainly would be, especially for that 41 as well, a guy that you and I both talked about not expected to advance out of this round. And so it would be wonders, I think, for them to have both the 41 and the 4 advance, and the 10 as well. I forget Eric Almirola made the playoffs. But at the moment, you have the 41 leaving, but on the leading, but on the flip side of that, you have the 4 who just had to come down pit road, is now a lap down, and looks like he's going to leave this race in a pretty deep hole as well. So, I'm sure that things are going to be kind of opposite after this race for what SHR was expecting. They were probably expecting the 41 to be out and the 4 to be in. But at the moment, it's the playoffs. Anything can happen, and where we have these guys as close as they are in points and everything, every point matter, or every position matters. And at the moment, Cole Custer is taking full advantage of that.
And now to turns 4. Cole Custer is going to hang on. Larson trying to maybe make a move on Keselowski, coming to the line, not going to be enough there. Cole Custer wins stage 2. Keselowski, Larson, you got the 37 up there of Ryan Preece, as well as Christopher Bell in the top 5. None of them, of course, playoff drivers, but your top 3 are playoff contenders. And Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Corey LaJoie doing a tremendous job in that number 7 car. Pit stops will be coming here this time by, and we're going to see if Cole Custer can hang on to the lead here after a stellar stage 2 performance now. So it is going to be, when we get back going, it'll be just about 100 laps to go. Strategy will be a little bit close now. It should be a 2-stop race, I believe, and they can just barely make it to the end of the race. We'll have to wait and see what their strategies are now. But obviously we know the strategy here, Jay. Take 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel, but this could honestly be the most important pit stop of the day, because this is when we're going to be the closest together, because of course we got this caution backing up everybody. We don't know if there's going to be another caution, so it's crucial here to get the lead potentially on this pit stop.
And Cole Custer was up at the front because of pit stops last time as well, so they obviously know how important they are, and they don't want to have them lose track position here. So for all of these teams, this is an extremely important moment.
And there you see Kyle Busch heading down the pit lane. Not been a great night for him. He's not even in the playoffs. Kyle Larson right there has a strong car, but is that 41? Here comes that 41 of Cole Custer. Keselowski can't quite beat him out, and I don't think Kyle Larson is going to be able to either. No, he is not. It is going to be Larson dropping down to 4th. Cole Custer wins the race out of the pit lane. And then, of course, these guys, the lap down, are all going to be coming in right here. So Cole Custer will lead the way to the green at the start of stage 3. We're going to go for another quick break and be back in time for the start of the 3rd and final stage here in the first race, opening up the playoffs here for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. back from Darlington Raceway for the final stage about to get underway. It will be 101 laps to go when we start this final stage. You see 239 at the top. It is 220. We have that in case of overtime. So far, I don't want to jinx it, but the way this racing has been, I don't think we're going to need overtime here tonight in Darlington. But you know what? You never know with NR2003, as Cole Custer will lead the way to the start of the third and final stage. Jay, everything you've seen so far with track position being key, clean air, do you think Cole Custer is the favorite to win this race, or do you have someone else lined up? Maybe Matt Benedetto finds a way to get up there?
I'm not sure that we can really call anyone for a favorite at the moment, just because the 16 and the 22 are still in this race. We've seen them affect the leaders several times, as he's affecting Kevin Harvick at the moment as well. So uh, Cole Custer can have the lead and have the 22 run up on him, and then he's stuck behind him and winds up losing the lead, never gets it back. So at the moment, I think that Cole Custer may be pretty hard to pass, but he's also got to work his way around the 22 and the 16.
As well as a 37, and Ryan Preece putting up a really good performance here so far tonight in Darlington, side by side right now with Keselowski for the second position now, as Keselowski's up in the outside wall through turns 1 and 2. There's a door opening for Kyle Larson, but we're gonna have to wait and see if that causes any issues. No, it does not, thank goodness, as Keselowski is gonna lose a lot of track position. That's all it takes. That's how easy it is to lose a lot of positions here in Darlington. We know how hard it is to drive this racetrack, and one little mistake puts Keselowski now outside of the top 5 as Larson moves up into the third position. Preece second, Custer first, and definitely not a top 2 duo we expect to be saying here in Darlington now. As well, we got Christopher Bell up inside the top 5 now. Jay, are you surprised by this running order we've had tonight? Of course, with the strategy, it kind of makes sense, but nonetheless, I'm still quite surprised to see some of these guys we have running up here in the mix.
Oh yes, I most certainly see a lot of these guys up here, like the 37. The 41 surprises me as well, and we've also had the 7 up here for the majority of the night as well, which he's one that I really expected to lose track position after we've had a couple restarts. We've had 2 of them now, and he still stayed right up here with these guys, so he's having a fantastic night. Corey LaJoy doing a great job in that 7 car. But yeah, there's certainly some guys up in this top 10 that I did not expect to be here, and then there's certainly some guys that are outside the top 20 at the moment. 7. As we were counting at the restart, 7 of them were outside the top 20. I think that Ryan Blaney and Byron have now both gained positions to where they are up towards the top 15, but still, we are seeing a lot of playoff guys struggle tonight, and that is something that neither you or I expected at all.
Blaney is 20th, Byron 24th at the start of the lap. So, I mean, just surprising nights, of course, for them so far. And then you got Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez. I mean, their cars are all fixed up. They came together earlier in this race after Suarez got into the wall in stage 2. They had to spend some time repairing their cars under green flag pit stop, so they got themselves put back in traffic. It's going to be very, very hard for them to work their way back forwards now, as we see Kyle Larson trying to continue to work on that number 37 of Ryan Preece. Now Elliott trying to make a move up the inside of the 20 of Christopher Bell. Can't seem to quite pull it off now as Benedetto. He hasn't really gone anywhere either. He's actually lost a spot to start stage 3. So maybe going the wrong way on their adjustments potentially here on that last pit stop. As you can see right there, not a whole lot of fight to that 48 of Alex Bowman. But Jay, we know Matt Benedetto is a very patient race car driver, it seems so far, so I could see him maybe just waiting and just trying to play it out perfectly here, because there's still 100 laps just about to go in this race, so there's no need to get too aggressive at this point.
I'm sure he was quick coming up to the field for the beginning of the run as well, but where you and I both noticed when he really started making up ground and coming through was towards the end of the run, so he may truly have a very long run car, so he may kind of struggle here, just kind of keep where he's at and maybe lose a spot or 2, and then they get 15, 20 laps into this run. We may see him come out of nowhere and really be fast, so that's something to look for as well, to see if he's got that long run car. But at the moment, he's struggling a little bit, but again, he's still doing a better than almost half of the playoff grid, probably over half the playoff grid, considering who's behind him. So he's doing exactly what he needs to, even if it's not running inside the top 5 or going for a win. He's beating those other playoff guys, and going out of this race, if he's able to stay where he's at and some of those other drivers continue to struggle, he may go from being the last guy in and 5 points out to being inside the playoffs.
You know what I think it is time to do here is we keep forgetting to do it throughout the season, but I have remembered about it tonight, is I think it is time actually to get amped here in our NR2003 series for the first time in the playoffs. We'll see if we can remember to do it throughout every race of the playoffs. So now, let's get amped here in NR 2003. There you have amped from Darlington. Nice that we finally remembered to do that here from the Southern 500. Kyle Larson during that was able to get up into second place, but it's still under attack from the 37 of Ryan Preece. Joey Logano not very far up the road, so that's going to certainly add an interesting element here to see who's going to get up into the second spot here between that 5 and the 37. Maybe even a potential change for the lead. Chase Elliott, by the way, as well, moved up into the 4th spot right behind the 37 as he was able to get past the number 20 of Christopher Bell. Update on Matt DiBenedetto, currently still in that 10th spot. He's now in front of the 8 of Tyler Reddick, so he has gained 1 spot now. And right now, Jay, is that 41 to catches the 20. He has the advantage of having a nice, comfortable gap right over there, over the 5 car of Kyle Larson. So, I mean, if he's going to catch that 22 at some point, this is probably his better opportunity to do so with that gap in front of the 5.
And he's done a decent job of navigating through Logano all night as well. It looks like he may do the same thing here. If he gets him before the corner, yes, he will. So Cole Custer does a good job. Now Kyle Larson has to do the same thing, find his way to the bottom to get around Logano at a decent time. But we've seen Larson struggle getting around him before already. So this may... No, he gets around him good. Now we'll have to look back at Chase Elliott, who's side-by-side with a 37.
I think it'll work out perfect for the 9 of Chase Elliott as they come through the center of the corner. This is when Logano can kind of keep up the pace, but Elliott will get to the inside, but I mean, he's probably going to get cleared. No, he's going to stay alongside that 22 down the back straightaway into turns 3. Larson right on the back of the 41 right now. So we're going to see if Kyle Larson maybe out of turns 4, could he peek up the inside? No, he does not yet now as they're going to go at it there for that front spot. Now looking throughout the field there, you see Suarez trying to work his way forwards. William Byron right now, and Suarez actually has done a better job than Denny Hamlin working his way back through the field. Here comes Matt DiBenedetto trying to make a move on the inside of the 48 now, and that 22 this is going to be a good opportunity actually for DiBenedetto to potentially gain some key positions, or I mean, he could as well lose some key positions here as they come through 3 and 4. But right now, Jay, it looks like DiBenedetto's playing the right moves right there, an aggressive move up the inside of the 2 as well, and he's in the perfect spot right now to gain a couple spots.
And once again, making moves work to the inside. He's one of the few we've been able to see do that tonight. So he certainly has a strong car, like I thought, on the long run. And obviously the 22 is helping with that as well. He wouldn't be gaining so many positions here so easily if it weren't for Joey Logano. But I still think that he does have a pretty strong car. We'll just have to watch and see if he's able to do anything with it.
Elliott has run down the top 2 drivers, but what we are going to do here from Darlington is actually, I was going to say go to a quick break, but no, we're not, because they're about to run down the 16 of Grolin. That 9 of Chase Elliott, we're seeing that speed that we saw out of him earlier. This is going to be a terrible time for Kyle Larson, actually, to run down the 16 as he gets caught out by his teammate of Chase Elliott, but he might be able to get in behind him possibly, or he's going to try and force the issue right here down the back straightaway, and that's definitely not going to work for the 9 of Elliott. Now, as the 41 of Custer is going to try and look to the inside into turn 3. It's not going to quite work out for anybody at this moment now, as the 37's coming back up into the mix as well here now. As there you go, the 41 and the 9 are going to go through on the inside. Larson's going to have to get down right away, because here comes the 37 who's going to fill that space up potentially right there. Yes, he does. And now Larson is going to have a hard time getting to the inside. He's got the 20 and the 1 coming as well, maybe even the 7 and the 21 before he's able to get down to the inside. So right there, Jay, a huge mistake from the 5 of Kyle Larson, as honestly he would have been better off backing out of that battle with Chase Elliott.
And it is nowhere near the first time we've seen Larson struggle with lap cars tonight, and certainly not the first time we've seen him struggle with it this season. I think out of everybody in this field, he has struggled the most getting around lap cars. He's had so much bad luck when it comes to that stuff, and just put himself several times in bad positions as well. And that was another one right there, as Chase Elliott is easily going to go and get the lead from Cole Custer here, showing that he truly is the strongest car here tonight. They got that adjustments right on that car, and he easily makes the pass in the lead and puts himself back out front. The 37 looks like he might be pretty strong and make a run here at Cole Custer as well.
Commanding pass from the 9 of Chase Elliott. Now, other than Matt DiBenedetto, he's been the only one that we've been able to see make those moves on the inside. And, well, DiBenedetto's going to get the short end of the stick with the 16. Those positions again from the 22. He's going to lose to the 48 and the 10 at the absolute minimum there. So that's a big hit for Matt DiBenedetto now, as Larson's trying to work his way back forwards here now. As actually we're gonna probably keep it green here, or sorry, keep it actually, you know what, we will go to a commercial here, because they did go green about lap 220, so we still got a little bit of time here until the next set of green flag pit stops. So we will be right back here from Darlington. Back from Darlington, just as pit stops are happening, we're seeing the leaders of Chase Elliott, the 41 of Cole Custer, Kyle Larson, Brian Priest, Kurt Busch, as well as the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto come in here. Potentially smart call right there, Jay, from Matt DiBenedetto. I think we've seen him consistently try to stay out longer than other people tonight, and now we're seeing him come in with the main bulk of cars, which could be a big move for him.
Yeah, we've also seen him lose track position, I think, just because his pit crew might be a little bit off tonight. So getting him on pit road before a majority of the other cars, even though he came in with the leaders here, there's a lot of cars that stayed out on track as well. It could be a really good thing for him and these guys who pitted here.
Chase Elliott was starting to stretch out the gap. He actually lost a little bit of ground while we were on break, and then he was able to start stretching it out right at the end of that run, as DiBenedetto is on his way out now. So once again, we got to keep an eye on, of course, if maybe some drivers are going to get into potential incidents when they're coming out of the pit lane, and Kyle Larson's going to come out there just behind the 41 and the 37. It looks like Jay DiBenedetto gained a good chunk of ground right there. He's right on the back of the 5 of Kyle Larson. That's going to be a big opportunity now. So we're going to have to wait, though, to see what happens with everybody merging back on track this time around. Everybody is going to be in pretty good shape now, as it is what we got, I think 65 laps to go in this race. So that is at least one more pit stop. They should be able to make it comfortably to the end after that, without overtime, that is. And then if we do have a potential overtime, it could get a little bit close. So Jay, I mean, are you trying to push honestly as far as you can at this point as well, maybe for some drivers, just so you can be as comfortable as possible on field in case of maybe a late race yellow forcing an overtime restart?
I think you have to push here as hard as you can. I don't think there's much to saving. With the way that this is looking at the moment, I think that they'll be able to make it on one more pit stop, and even towards overtime as well, which, you know, if there is overtime, they will 100% pit no matter what. So I don't think there really is any strategy to saving here. Is all that ground DiBenedetto made up on pit road. The 22 is going to a race here. He's going to get passed by the 48 and the 7 at the very least. He got around Larson as well, actually. I noticed.
Yeah, he did.
That might have been due to Logano maybe holding Larson up, and then now he's holding up DiBenedetto.
Logano's pitting, so that works.
Logano's going to come pit road, so that'll work out for him. But those two still lost track position in time, staying behind that 22.
At the end, I mean, a little bit of a gain there for DiBenedetto, loss for Kyle Larson. Now as Chase Elliott is out in front over the 41 of Cole Custer there for Stuart Haas Racing, doing everything right as that number 9 of Chase Elliott so far, reminding me a little bit of the late stages in Darlington earlier this year when Kyle Larson was in position to take the win away from Ryan Blaney, and then of course got taken out when he was coming out of the pit lane. So definitely something we are going to be watching here now, as you see the 24 of William Byron on the back of the number 42 of Ross Chastain there, as you got the 34 of McDowell running up in front. Chastain, Jay, we've really seen him actually fall off a ton as this race has been going on. Now down to 16th. Earlier he was up in the top 10 getting stage points, and now is under attack from that 24 Byron, and honestly not surprising that we're seeing him as this race goes on start to fall down the order.
Yeah, and you know, we've really seen a ton of guys struggle tonight as well. And William Byron, he was struggling earlier, and now at the moment, we saw him make up some ground there, and I don't know quite where he's at the moment, but it looks like he's going to be running better than he was. Oh, there he is in 17th. Okay, so he's running a little bit better than he was then. So that means the 42 has lost a lot of ground. I actually thought that Chastain was still toward the top 10. But Chastain is now went from being a guy who looked like he was going to be able to capitalize on these guys struggling to where he's almost now outside the top 20. And then Byron has gained some spots, and we saw Truex. He was close to the top 10 just before pit stops happened. It looks like he's lost some ground on pit stops. Maybe he stayed out longer and lost some of that track position, which he's 13th.
Reddick
Okay,
is
well,
Reddick is
cannot
13th
count
now,
then.
passing the 19 of Truex for the
I apparently
14th
cannot
spot.
count then. But they either way, they have made up positions from where they were, but they are still struggling, especially Truex still struggling. This is one of his tracks. Expect him to be up towards the front and probably win.
I think we got a battle for the lead starting to heat up just a little bit again now as Cole Custer has run down the 9 of Chase Elliott, and they're going to be dealing with the 22 of Joey Logano here very, very soon now as they come through at a turn. Sue Custer putting on a lot of pressure, and, well, it's not going to work out, I don't think, for Chase Elliott very well unless he pulls to the left at this very moment. And is he going to do so? No, he's not. The smartest decision is to run behind the slow car, as you guys know, in NR2003. But right there out of turns 4, oh, it got a little bit close, but he does get past there on the inside. But look at that. It brings in the 48, the 37 as well into the mix, but they're going to lose a little bit of ground themselves trying to pass that number 22 of Joey Logano. Then here comes Matt DiBenedetto as well as the 7 of Corey LaJoie. If DiBenedetto stays low here, you might be able to get past that 7 or that 48 of Bowman if he gets stuck on the top. We're about to see if that happens, but it doesn't look like it is going to, as Elliott continues to lead the way. What we're going to do again here is, I mean, things very, very calm from Darlington so far. We're actually going to take another quick break and bring you towards the end of this race here in the Darlington Southern 500 for the opening race of the playoffs. Back from Darlington, you see what has happened since the commercial break. Alex Bowman got to the lead with help from lap traffic. Chase Elliott down to second, now down to third. Ryan Blaney, who started in 20th at the start of stage 3, has rallied his way through the traffic there as the 37 got the wall in the background, but he's rallied his way through the field up into third place. Jay, this has been potentially one of the best drives I've seen all year long. He won Darlington earlier this year and is potentially on track to do it again within probably the best pace we've seen anybody set this year.
When we saw DiBenedetto earlier in this race go from about 25th to maybe 12th or 11th in stage 1, we thought that was pretty magical and probably be the most passing we've seen tonight. We were not prepared for what Ryan Blaney was going to do in stage 3 to go from 20th to now 2nd. He has been on an absolute tear this entire stage, and he's got the fastest lap of the night, and I would guarantee you he's probably had the fastest lap the last 10 or 15 laps. He has been absolutely moving, been able to get past anyone easily, and I think we'll see him catch Bowman here pretty quickly, and we might see him pass Bowman pretty quick. But the one advantage that Alex Bowman does have is he's got clean air. Ryan Blaney has not been has not had to pass anyone in this whole time going forward that has clean air. So we'll see how easy it is for Blaney here.
As well, a great run for Alex Bowman, by the way, all season long. It's been a struggle for him. Tonight he has shown up and put up a great run for Hendrick Motorsports. Missed the playoffs just because they had a terrible regular season. As this run's going on, we're starting to see the 41 fall off a little bit. Kyle Larson trying to make a move up the inside of the 20 of Christopher Bell. Matt DiBenedetto got up into 4th place. Jay, another guy coming in below the cut line that's putting up a really good performance. So this is going to be a key race for him, especially going into, we look at the next 2 races, Richmond and Bristol. I mean, in NR2003 way, I think those races could be just utter chaos the whole race length. So it's going to be key for him to get as many points as he can here tonight in Darlington, and he's doing a very good job tonight.
And you mentioned there that the remaining two races could be chaos. We saw that at the first time we went to Richmond. Richmond was another one of those races where we had a really clean stage one, and then stage two and stage three were chaos. Obviously, when we went to Bristol the first time, that was absolute chaos, but it was the dirt version of Bristol. So we don't know quite what to expect from Bristol, but I have to agree with Gary. I think we could see that be chaos, as some of the guys in the back look like they're pitting, so we could see green flag pit stop starting for the leaders very soon. It
Oh,
looks like Chase Elliott is going to go to pit road. Here we go. This is the crucial time here. They can make it to the end of the race from right here, so this is the crucial stop of the day.
the 41 as well. Cole Custer coming in. Kyle Larson staying out. Kurt Busch coming in. So I would expect to see the 12 as well as the 48 come in as soon as possible. They can make it to the end from here to lap 220. They got to go about 30 laps. So it is cutting it a little bit close. And, they have proven they can stretch it out a little bit further. And I think that's what we're seeing, especially from these two drivers. DiBenedetto coming in from third place this time by, which is going to be an advantage for him as he sees the front two drivers of Ryan Blaney as well as Alex Bowman stay out. Here comes a move from Ryan Blaney. Do you think, Jay, maybe Blaney's trying to get the lead here from Alex Bowman and then decide to come into the pit lane?
Yeah, he could be doing that, but at the same time, he's got such a quick car that it might be an advantage for him to get to pit road. Yeah, he made that pass without nothing. We've barely seen that happen tonight, where somebody's able to pass somebody for the lead very easy. If it's happened, it's been a struggle. But for Blaney, he made it look easy there. Bowman had a fight there for a moment. Looks like Alex is coming to pit road, and Blaney's going to stay out. This may be a decision that I think is questionable for them. I was just going to mention I think he needs to pit now before the 48, where it would have been with the 48, but now he's going to stay on an extra lap, and he might lose that track position that he just gained. So Ryan Blaney may have to make up a couple spots here.
They must just be that confident in their car. And oh, we got trouble here. Kevin Harvick is stopped. That should not be a caution. It looks like a potential mechanical issue for the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. Yes, he's off the track. Kevin Harvick, a mechanical failure, I believe. We'll wait for the leaderboard to update. He was already a lap down. He pitted an unscheduled pit stop earlier in this race, set him back, and there you see him actually right there. So we'll have to get an update on what's going on with Kevin Harvick. As I'm trying to see where the 12 of Ryan Blaney is. There he is right now. So he is just coming into the pit lane. So of course we're watching. Of course Chase Elliott right now coming through to unlap himself. This is the one we're specifically watching. Matt DiBenedetto just behind that number 9 of Chase Elliott. Jay, that might have been the right call for DiBenedetto if it all works out. He's going to be moving up into the second position here potentially.
Yeah, excuse me.
Got past the 48.
And there goes Bowman right there, so he certainly should be in the second position. I think they'll be past Blaney as well. So very good call there from the 9 and the 21. Obviously, Chase Elliott wants to get himself locked into the next round. He was one of those guys who was kind of comfortable on points, but certainly anything going wrong for him would still put him in a bad position. And then obviously, DiBenedetto being the last car in the playoffs, 5 points out. Something that's going to be huge for him. And Blaney is going to be way down the order. 2 laps. That was all Blaney did. He stayed out 2 extra laps than these guys, and this is where he's going to go. He's going to go from right at the lead to, what, going to be 6th place now? 5th, 6th place?
Possibly like 7th.
So Blaney, all that ground that he just made, and all that work he just did, lost it on 2 laps.
Yeah, we know he has a fast car, so we'll have to wait and see if he has fast enough of a car. In 27 laps is all he has to go from now all the way down the order in 7th place to the lead. And he's now has to make up 6 seconds. So this could be a huge loss for this Penske team now. And if they end up getting, say, eliminated from the playoffs in this first round, they're going to look back to that moment right there as a potential key moment that lost them a chance to continue to fight for a championship. But now we're seeing Matt DiBenedetto, 2nd place, close up on the 9 of Chase Elliott. Jay, I mean, you know what's on the line for Matt DiBenedetto. He's still looking for his first ever Cup Series win, and what a track it would be if he could pull it off here at Darlington, a true driver's racetrack, and it looks like maybe they've got the right adjustments in this car here for this final run.
There's so many reasons here why this win for him would be huge. I mean, obviously, you have the one that sticks out, the playoffs. It would lock him into the round of 12. And he wouldn't have to worry about the other 2 races, Richmond and Bristol, in this round. Obviously, it would be his first career win as well. It would be a Southern 500 win, and it would also be a win that potentially gets him a ride for next season. Obviously, this isn't ours, so I'm speaking hypotheticals. But, it's just something that would, if he were to get this win in real life, it would be huge for him. And And so seeing it happen in here in NR would be very cool, and also it would just be a huge thing for his season as well. I think that even if he doesn't get a win, he's going to come out of here in a very good points position, and especially with a lot of guys struggling as well, and how close everybody was, he could find himself up inside maybe the top 6 in points with the way everybody's running at the moment. And we may see. I think we're certainly going to see the 22 and the 4 be below that cut line. And actually, is that Kyle Larson that is 4 laps down right now, Gary? Am I reading that right? In
Kyle
34th place?
Larson is 4 laps down, completely unnoticed. He's not on the track right now. Kevin Harvick, by the way, we saw him stopped earlier. He had a clutch failure, the exact same situation as his teammate, actually, of Chase Briscoe. But Kyle Larson, there he is right there. Kyle Larson just rejoining the track right now. Another playoff driver with some type of mechanical issue. He is 4 laps down. He goes from being a top 5 contender to now out of the mix. The one advantage he has, of course, Jay, is he's got, of course, the most playoff points of anybody here. He comes into this round 36 above the cut line, and there's been so many other playoff drivers with issues. So honestly, this might not be too big of a hit for that 5 team.
Yeah, he comes in with almost a full race of points. So certainly that's going to help him keep, I think, in a position where he's going to be above that cut line. And he also got stage points as well in both stages. So that's another thing, too, that's going to help him. But very just a not good situation for Kyle Larson. And you know, we mentioned several times tonight that any bad race in this round can really hurt you and be what winds up losing you the round. As Denny Hamlin is now blown up. He's been struggling all night long, but now he's blown up and is going to wind up finishing it even worse than he was.
Unbelievable. The top 2 drivers in the playoff standings having severe issues, and just like I've said multiple times, the one advantage they do have is many other playoff drivers having issues, because if this was just a calm race for playoff drivers, this would be huge hits to the 5 and the 11. Now, it's still going to be big hits to those teams, but they're definitely not going to be as bad off as they certainly could be. Now, as we're seeing Ryan Blaney try to make a move up the inside of the 20 car, and you can see he's still 6 seconds off of the lead. He hasn't gone anywhere since they came back out on the track. So it's getting to the close clutch time here for the 12 of Ryan Blaney. But now, I mean, we're looking up in front here, Jay, and look at this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. The 37, by the way, is now going to be going a lap down. But look at all this lap traffic that's going to be playing a role in the finish of this race. So, I mean, there's still a potential possibility with how much these guys struggle that even the 12 of Ryan Blaney could find himself in the mix of this thing.
Yeah, and we're really seeing, I think the playoff picture is going to be changed after this race. We're going to have some guys towards the bottom, like I was mentioning when I noticed the issues for Larson. We're going to have some guys towards the bottom at the end of this race that I was really not expecting to see down there. Is there someone, Ryan Newman, now blowing up as well? He misses pit road. So let's see if he's able to get himself back around the track. If he doesn't, there's a possibility that could create a caution, which would be utter chaos to have this race in with, well, not overtime, but it would certainly be just a few laps to go. He's going to stop on track. Let's see if they get him back to pit road without any issue. We'll wait to see if those lights come on. Doesn't look like they will, so we should stay green. That is a good thing. And luckily, we're not going to have a late race caution to shake everything up here. But this playoff picture going into this race is going to look a lot different than I think from what you or I expected. On top of a lot of guys towards the top of this grid having issues, we've got guys towards the bottom of the grid having very good races, like Matt DiBenedetto. The 41 has been up here. He led a lot of laps. He's sitting in 4th place at the moment. Ryan Blaney, actually, he's towards the top of the grid, so he's running where expected at the moment. But just had a lot of things happen in this race that was not expected at all, and even for a track that's not well known for its passing in NR, there's still been a ton of different things that have happened. We've seen a bunch of different leaders, and we've seen a bunch of different issues as well. That is I think it's going to leave a very wild last 2 races in this round.
And I mean, looking at some guys that maybe struggled earlier in this race, William Byron was way behind after hitting the outside wall. He has rebounded back up to 11th, trying to work his way into the top 10. Truex is back up into the 14th position. Chastain 15th. Keselowski, he had issues earlier, fell down the order. He hasn't quite worked his way back up. He was a top 5 contender earlier in this race. Daniel Suarez has been playing catch up. He's only up into 23rd, working on that 17 for 22nd place. Chase Elliott, though, had a nice gap over De Benedetto when he got to those lapped cars, but now De Benedetto is right on the back of him again, and it is just 15 laps to go in this race. Not a lot of time now, and De Benedetto is, of course, in a way worse playoff position, Jay, than Chase Elliott, so it's absolutely crucial. This could be potentially his only chance to get a Cup Series victory even. It's absolutely crucial for him to try and make this pass on Chase Elliott and lock himself into that next round and get himself even more playoff points to make him a little bit more comfortable in that next round if he does advance.
But it's also crucial at the same time to not wreck himself in trying to go for that win. He doesn't want to go so hard for it that he makes contact with Chase Elliott and puts himself in the wall, or gets contact with a lap car and winds up wrecking, or any number of ways you can wreck in this Cup Series. So he has to be careful of that as well, because finishing second place would be a whole lot better than finishing 20th place, or wherever he would wind up finishing if he wound up wrecking or possibly DNFing. So he's got to consider that as well, that even if he doesn't win and finishes second, that is still huge for him and will put him in a good position where, with all these other drivers struggling, but he's still going to fight hard for that win. He knows what's there. He knows the stakes are on the line. So I think we're going to see an extremely hard battle between the 9 and the 21 till the end of this race.
Ryan Blaney is closing the gap very, very quick. But of course, the leaders are dealing with lap traffic. Do keep that in mind. But he's definitely closing in on the 1 and the 41, and then he's got to get through the 48. But he's only got 13 coming to 12 laps to go to do exactly that. So it's going to be pretty much impossible for Ryan Blaney without a caution to get there. And man, would this really spice things up if we had a caution at this point here in Darlington. It's been caution free. Really throughout the whole race. We've only had stage cautions. We've had incidents, but they've all ended up happening off of the racing line, so no caution has come out now. So at this point, Jay, you got to be, I mean, if you're a Chase Elliott, just wondering, is that caution coming now? You're coming to 11 laps to go, and it's been a caution-free race without the stages, so you're just hoping that it continues to be like that.
And I'm sure with Chase Elliott's career, he's thinking that as well. There's been many times where he's been in the lead and a caution with just a couple of laps to go has come out, and then strategy winds up costing them a race, or he just winds up losing it on the restart. That's happened to him several times. So I'm sure that Chase Elliott and all Chase Elliott fans right now are wondering and worrying about that final caution. And I'm not sure if either one of those two up front wants to see a caution. They don't want to have anybody else behind them get up into their battle. So I think De Benedetto probably wants it to go green as well, knowing also that he has a long run car. So this is coming into his favor towards the end of this race without a caution.
10 laps to go. From Darlington, Southern 500, first race of the round of 16. After tonight, we go to Richmond as well as Bristol Motor Speedway. Excited for those races now. Richmond earlier this year was chaos, and then, of course, as Jay was stating earlier, Bristol, we don't really have an idea because it was the dirt Bristol we were on that first time earlier this season. So curious to see how they will be, of course, on the asphalt version of Bristol Motor Speedway. 9 laps to go. Chase Elliott just barely in front of Matt De Benedetto. You look up in front of them, you still got this group of cars here, including the 37 of Ryan Preece, but it's definitely going to be a long shot. They might catch them. Actually, I think they might definitely get to the 51 as well as the 78. The 37, who was running in the top 5, clearly had some issues. He's a lap down now as well after that final pit stop on the night. Now it's De Benedetto putting some pressure there on the inside of the 9. Jay, I mean, he's got enough length right here. He might be able to get alongside and pass him into turns 1.
He had a huge run there coming off turn 4, and I'm actually surprised he didn't make that pass on the front straightaway. It looked like he had a huge speed advantage there coming off of turn 4, but Chase Elliott on the outside line here should be able to get the run off of the outside line and clear De Benedetto back down the back straightaway. But De Benedetto learned something there, I'm sure, and knows what he needs to do better next time he goes to make a pass.
Blaney back into the top 5. We got past the 1 of Kurt Busch. Here we go again now, as it seems like that 12 has something at this point that the 9 can't quite fully get alongside, though, so he's going to have to wait for really another lap potentially here before he has an opportunity to do anything now, as it really all comes down to how good of an exit can you get out of turns 4. If you can get pretty much even, I think, with the car into turns 1, you have a really good chance of completing that pass on the inside. Alex Bowman, who's just been kind of chilling back there in 3rd place, about 2 seconds back. Jay, this has been almost a rebirth for that team. They've struggled all season long, missed the playoffs, and here they are tonight, having a tremendous run here in Darlington.
Yeah, and it's a shame for Alex Bowman that this is one race too late. If he had this last race or even a couple of races ago, he could have maybe done something with it. But unfortunately for Bowman, the moment the playoffs start, he has a good run and a very strong run. He's had a very good race tonight, and really this is the first complete race I think he's had all season long. Just unfortunately for Bowman and that 48 team, it's one race too late.
And coming to 5 laps to go here in Darlington, I don't think lap traffic is going to be an issue for the rest of the night. So it's just a straight up race between the 9 and the 21. Alex Bowman is closing, by the way. He just gained 2.5 tenths of a second on the leaders, and they're not dealing with any traffic. So that 48 has the speed, but just not enough time to get to these front runners. He might get there with a little bit of help, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Is now the 9 comfortably in front of the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto. Jay, earlier we saw Elliott, of course, running up front in this race with some lap traffic. He got put back a little bit, ended up losing stage 1 to Kyle Larson because of lap traffic, and then he really got shuffled out, but has worked hard, got himself back up here, and he's really done everything right tonight so far now with only 4 laps to go. I mean, it's just that 9 team just unbeatable when they've been able to go or get set back and still work their way back forwards and find themselves out in front.
Yeah, and I think that we're seeing the truly the fastest cars up here towards the front at the end of this race. Blaney would have been up there towards these leaders had he not pitted at the wrong time. But I think that of the top 5, I think all 5 of those cars, sorry, are the fastest ones we have here tonight. Aside from Kyle Larson, who unfortunately had something go wrong with his car, and I've noticed since he's come off pit road, he ran away from these guys. So clearly, he still got the pace in the car. It's just something happened where he had to sit on pit road for a few laps, and that team had to fix something. But the 9, the 21, the 41, the 48, the 12, aside from Blaney, all 4 of those drivers have been up front all night, and then we've seen Blaney obviously have that massive charge to the front from 20th place in this third stage. So all of those guys are the fastest ones, and we've seen them find their way to the top, to the front, and we've seen them get around the slower cars. I think you and I kind of feared earlier that we were going to have a replay of what we've seen earlier this season at Darlington, where there was just a train and nobody was able to really pass. But there has been some good passing tonight. And I think we're seeing the person who deserves to win is going to wind up being the winner, whether it's any one of these guys in the top 5. They all have fast cars.
Lap and a half to go. From Darlington, Southern 500. Elliott comfortably ahead of that 21. DiBenedetto has spent the last lap or so closing the gap, but it's just not close enough. Unless Elliott makes a mistake, gets in the wall through turns 1 and 2, is DiBenedetto's really only hope as it's white flag in the area from Darlington in the Southern 500. What a race it has been. It's been a calm, cool, collected race, but it's been a tremendous race at the same time. Elliott playing it safe right there, not even going close to the outside wall as he leads the way down the back straightaway. DiBenedetto within a few car lengths, but it's not going to be enough through turn 3. Nonetheless, a great day for Matt DiBenedetto in that Wood Brothers 21 Ford Mustang. But out of turns 4 for the 3rd time this season, Chase Elliott comes down the front straightaway to win the first race of the playoffs here from Darlington. He will now be locked in to the round of 12. A great effort from Matt DiBenedetto. Across the line, Alex Bowman 3rd, and then Ryan Blaney is able to get 4th here in the closing laps over Cole Custer, Christopher Bell there, and then you got Kurt Busch to round out towards the top 10, Tyler Reddick as well, the 10 of Eric Almirola, and 10th place is the 7 of Corey LaJoie. A huge day for that team, and Jay, overall, an absolutely tremendous race here from Darlington. Like I said, there wasn't incidents causing craziness. It was just downright a great race here from Darlington tonight.
Yeah, we really had some strategy play into it as well, and that put some of these cars ahead of where they normally run, and they were just able to outperform some of these drivers tonight. There was a lot of playoff guys who struggled, and so we're also going to have a very interesting playoff picture once everything gets calculated, and we head into Bristol or Richmond and then Bristol to finish off this first round. This race alone could make some big names like Kevin Harvick or like Joey Logano could make them get eliminated after the first round. Luckily for Kyle Larson, who winds up finishing in 32nd, 4 laps down, he's got almost a full race of points to lay back on. And Denny Hamlin, he doesn't have anywhere near the points Kyle Larson does, but he still had a decent amount of points coming into this. So he should still be okay after this as well. But he ran rough all night, did not get any stage points. So Hamlin might be in a pretty sketchy position as well. There was just a lot of things happening tonight, and I think the biggest thing is the amount of struggles we have for the playoff drivers.
I was shocked to see so many of them have issues. I mean, we got, 16 playoff drivers, 26 non playoff drivers, and it was just still playoff drivers like crazy the ones that were the majority having issues tonight in Darlington. A lot of reliability issues with, of course, Harvick having a clutch failure, along with Stewart Haas Racing in general having clutch issues there as Briscoe as well. Hamlin's gearbox failed on him, and then Logano, of course, was dealing with mechanical issues early in the race, was off the pace, held on to a 34th place finish. Larson, some type of mechanical issue as well. Same for Bubba Wallace. We saw him come on for an unscheduled pit stop. That could have been maybe something different. Maybe they felt like they had some lug nuts loose or something. But overall, a great race here from Darlington Raceway to start off the playoffs here. 9 races remain, and next week we'll be going to Richmond Raceway under the lights. Excited for that one. Should be a pretty crazy race. Now, Jay, after seeing tonight, I mean, do you have a favorite potentially going into Richmond, or do you think it's just going to be insanity there?
I truly think it's going to be insanity. I don't think it's going to be anything different from last time around where we had the clean stage 1 and then once again the wild stage 2 and 3. So that's kind of what I expect going into next week, and it's just going to be an all-out brawl, and whoever survives is going to come away with the win, come away looking good in the playoffs. And then we're going to go to Bristol for that final race of the round. So next week is going to be extremely crucial. Obviously you can make passes at Bristol, but we also don't know how chaotic that race is going to be as well. So this next 2 races I think are going to be very entertaining for us. There's probably going to be a lot that happens, and we may wind up seeing a big name miss out in the first round.
I'll have to wait and see what happens. If you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. As always, we'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode and any others on the channel. Next week, Richmond Raceway for the second race of the first round of the 16 driver playoff. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.